Hello everyone and welcome to Whyte Sunset. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is full of amazing characters and great stories, though often the quality of one or the other dips from time to time. For every Avengers Endgame there's going to be a Thor the Dark World. For every Loki there's going to be a... who was the bad guy in Ant-Man and the Wasp? And then we have your middle of the road projects, your Iron Fist and Age of Ultrons. Projects with great ideas and concepts, but just fail to stick the landing for a handful of reasons. And that brings us to Captain Marvel. As a lead up to Avengers Endgame, this movie was released to introduce fans to the person who could potentially undo the snap and beat Thanos, even though she only ended up being in 5 minutes of the 3-hour runtime. Overall, her movie was released to some of the lowest praise we've seen from the MCU in years. Some due to people not accepting a female-led superhero movie, and some like myself who couldn't connect with the confused storytelling and lazy character development. Just talking about it in broad strokes, Carol Danvers spends most of the movie as a stoic powerhouse who doesn't seem to develop a personality until the end of the film, where she happily mass murders hundreds, maybe even thousands of people who may have been innocent and indoctrinated into the Kree Empire as she was. With that in mind, I have a few changes to offer to the film that for the most part will follow the same story beats, and only change the setting and context of what takes place in the scenes. As I see it, there are 3 big issues with the film. So in this video I will discuss the 3 things I would change to take this film from Incredible Hulk standard and at least raise it to Captain America the First Avenger standard. Before I go into the specific issues that I believe need changing, there's a minor change to be made to the environment of the film. This change involves the Skrull ship, which captures Captain Marvel at the start of the film, where she kills maybe 99% of the surviving Skrull population in her escape, yet for some reason the 4 remaining Skrulls still want her to help them. The change to implement here is to have several hundred Skrulls already be on Earth assimilated into society. So what is the first big issue? The first problem I have with this film is the power dampener on Carol's neck. Within the context of the film, she is led to believe that the chip on her neck is what gives her her powers, but in actual fact, the device is there to limit her powers so they can better control and indoctrinate her into the Kree Empire. What is the logic of this? Why would Carol believe that an untrained woman from Earth would be granted powers which are clearly more powerful than anyone else around her? And it's very lucky that she never questioned her worthiness, and willingly surrendered the device in an unprompted moment of humility. What would make this make much more sense is if she knew from the beginning that this chip was limiting her powers, and the reason why she keeps it on is because she is led to believe that it's the only thing keeping her alive. So why would she think this? What string of events would need to unfold for her to first obtain her powers and to willingly allow the Kree to limit them? This information will be revealed to the audience through the Matrix-style technology we've already seen in the film, which transfers Carol's consciousness to a virtual space to speak with an advanced AI intelligence. They discuss how a Kree scientist, Mar-Vell, was a traitor to the Kree and was working with their longtime enemy, the Skrulls. Mar-Vell and the Skrulls were working on weapons of war to end the Kree Empire and allow them to rule the known universe without the threat of the Kree being able to stop them. To do this, she developed the most powerful explosive device ever invented, the Lightspeed engine. And after detonation, it had the power to eviscerate planets. As she was preparing to test her new weapon on Earth, Carol came to the aid of the Kree and fought alongside them to save her planet and her people. They were too late and Mar-Vell was able to begin the detonation. This left Carol with no other option than to willingly sacrifice herself in an attempt to defuse the bomb before it charged to completion and destroyed her planet. She was successful in this, but at the cost of absorbing the cosmic energy of the Lightspeed engine into herself, meaning that the energy would swell up inside her and end her life. It was at this point that Yon-Rogg came to her aid with an emergency transfusion of his Kree blood into her, strengthening her body to be better able to contain the cosmic energy now surging through her, until they were able to get back to his homeworld Hala, where they installed the power inhibitor into her neck, and was always under the watchful eye of the Kree to ensure her safety in case her power inhibitor ever faltered. This change, I believe, clears up one of the biggest issues of the film. There is now logic and reason for her wearing the power inhibitor and a real incentive for her to never remove it, unlike in the original release where she could have doubted herself at any time and sought to return the power she didn't believe she deserved. Plus, the lies the Kree tell her in regards to the Lightspeed engine will reinforce her hatred of the Skrulls, and will cause more incentive for her to return to Earth to weed out and eliminate those who try to use her home as a testing ground for their warheads. This brings us to the second biggest problem with the film. She is too public. Imagine this. You're on a mission to fish out and destroy any and all members of an alien race who can shapeshift to look like anyone. You've trained for years to be able to identify them from across a room, from a variety of different alien species with their own specific tells and mannerisms. Upon discovering a Skrull in a crowded public area, would you A. punch the seemingly innocent woman in the face and then she turns into a martial artist Aunt May? Or B. do you stealthily track them, capture them and gain information on where other Skrulls might be? I understand the visual of Captain Marvel punching an elderly woman is funny, but if your comedy makes it harder to engage with the story, then the film as a whole only suffers for it. Put yourself in the mind of the Skrulls. You've been living on this planet for at least 5 years. You've done all you could to hide yourself from your enemy, and to try to survive with what is left of your race. Suddenly you see on the news that a woman adorned in Kree attire is firing beams of pure energy out of her fist at one of your brethren with deadly intent. After that, you would flee for your life and do anything to escape this new breed of super soldier, and so hundreds of the Skrulls taking refuge on Earth would leave and scatter among the universe. The Kree are aware of this fact, and so to keep from scaring their prey away, they ensure to make stealth a key factor in their mission. So the stage is now set. Carol willingly allows her powers to be dampened in an effort to keep herself alive. Her entire team of Kree warriors are going to Earth to fish out the Skrull, and her memory is still missing large gaps, but she is led to believe that the Kree are helping her discover them. She is told she can't draw attention to them or the mission will be a failure, so now she has to consciously limit her already limited powers. For a short while, things play out similar to the original film, but when Carol and Yon-Rogg board the train, they notice several individuals who are potential Skrulls. They keep their eye on their suspects and are able to discount over half of them by giving tells that humans have, which Skrulls would consciously need to exhibit in order to blend in, and the tells these suspects have seem far too natural. This brings their suspect list down to the old woman and the newlyweds. At the next stop, the newlyweds get off the train, so Carol and Yon-Rogg agree to separate for the time being. As he has more experience with the Skrulls, it only makes sense that he followed the two suspects to leave the still rookie Carol with one. It isn't long until the old woman herself leaves the train and Carol pursues her. This is her first real stealth mission, so you can expect that she isn't flawless in her attempt to follow the woman. And when she is caught, we get a chance to see her ability to think on her feet and ask the woman for help because she is lost. After walking with her for a short while, Carol makes a mistake and reveals her true identity to the woman who runs away in fear of the Kree. This is when we can implement the martial artist Aunt May from the original film. She is trying to flee the Kree warrior and not draw attention to herself, while at the same time Carol is chasing her, also trying not to draw attention to herself lest she alert the other Skrulls in the area. This means no laser beams, no flying, no big fight. After the chase is over and Carol captures the Skrull, they drew just enough attention to alert S.H.I.E.L.D., and this is where she first meets Agents Coulson and Fury. She and the agents have a conversation, similar to the Carol and Fury talk in the bar, only now with Coulson being a part of it, mainly because he's a great character and I want to see more of him. Carol still being aware she needs to keep a low profile to weed out the other Skrulls, she chooses to align herself with the spy organisation so they can help her keep to the shadows. The benefit for this change is that it gives reason for Captain Marvel to not be on the top of her game. To achieve her mission and to save her planet, she knows that she can't draw attention, meaning her fantastical and eye-drawing powers are a disadvantage, and she needs to suppress them or else she will fail. For a character like her, one who can take an unrestrained attack from Thanos and not even flinch, there needs to be some way to remove her advantages or else every encounter she has with the enemy can only go one way. So to put in place a deterrent which makes her not want to use her powers makes for a better story with stakes other than the hero might die. My version of this film have her incredible power being used as a tool against her, because using them can only spell disaster at this point in the story. She will get chances to use her powers more and more often now she's allied with Fury and Coulson. The two experienced spies can assess the situation and let her know when she can use her powers and when she can't. Also, these situations will steadily become more and more closed off as she fights in underground S.H.I.E.L.D. bases and barren wastelands. And from there the film plays out as normal. Carol discovers her past, meets her old friend and her daughter, changes the colours of her suit so she stands out among the Kree, and allies herself with the Skrulls. As they set out on the mission to the hidden space station, where an unfinished lightspeed engine prototype is being kept, with about 100 Skrulls guarding it, the Kree warriors Carol came to Earth with ambushed them. During the fight, a number of Skrulls die, and while trying to escape, Fury is captured by Yon-Rogg. Carol, Monica, Coulson and the surviving Skrull go to the hidden space station where they discover the lightspeed engine and the Tesseract. Coulson remarks on the glowing cube, revealing that it was in the possession of S.H.I.E.L.D. for almost 50 years until it went missing after the Pegasus project was abandoned and the agents had been searching for it for half a decade. Carol isn't moving. Her face is blank as though she's looking through space and into another reality. While slowly panning towards her eye, we hear the voice of the AI intelligence she was speaking to at the start of the film, and her eyes change colour to resemble that of Yon-Rogg. She grabs the Tesseract and using her power she blasts a hole in the side of the space station, sending dozens of Skrulls out to die in the vacuum of space before boarding into one of the ships docked at the outside of the station. She flies down to Earth to meet Yon-Rogg in an open field to hand him the Tesseract. After gathering themselves in a secure part of the space station, Monica, Coulson and the Skrulls resolve themselves to go back to Earth and to stop the Kree from taking the Tesseract. We also see that the Kree are holding Fury captive, and after Yon-Rogg has the Tesseract, they intend to kill him if he does not bow to the Kree Empire. As Carol is making her way to Yon-Rogg, a ship lands close by with the Skrulls from the space station on board. They lead a feeble assault against the Kree as a final effort to reclaim the Tesseract and not allow the Kree to possess such a powerful artifact. Fury manages to burst free of the Kree and runs to Carol to grab the Tesseract before she can hand it over to Yon-Rogg. Carol only responds with a brutal punch to Fury's face with the aid of her powers, leaving him unconscious with one of his eyes left damaged and blind. And this is the third issue I had with the film. That stupid cat being the one that took Fury's eye. Of all the ways this character could have lost his eye, it had to be a cat. He lost his trust in people because of a cat. I hate that stupid cat. Since the beginning of the film, we have seen the Kree influencing her and warping her mind, using propaganda to turn her against the Skrull, and using mental manipulation to allow them to code her mind to react to a specific environment and suppress her free will. Not only have they done it to her, but to countless other Kree soldiers. The identifying factor being the AI intelligence that's controlling them is the bizarre colorization of their eyes. To a human like Carol, the offbeat yellow eyes of Yon-Rogg might just be a part of the genetic makeup of his alien species, but now we reveal that it is Kree technology controlling the body of anyone who might have power against them. Inside her mind, we see Carol fighting back against and arguing with the intelligence, and from there we get to see the same scene where she is knocked down but gets up again. Ain't nothing going to keep her down. Out in the real world, we see Skrull after Skrull fall, and not one Kree warrior has so much as stumbled. Off in her peripheral vision, after giving the Tesseract to Yon-Rogg, Carol sees Monica get backhanded from Korath, severely injuring her. In the mind prison, Carol reacts to seeing her closest friend getting injured, as well as seeing the last remnants of the Skrulls being slaughtered. She tries to break free of the intelligence, but realises she isn't strong enough to overpower it as long as she has the inhibitor chip. So she concentrates all of her power on one spot in her body, right where the inhibitor chip is installed, and as it breaks, she embraces her true power, and before the cosmic energy kills her, she bursts forward and unleashes a furious assault against Korath, damaging his skull to the point where he will need cybernetic enhancements just to survive. After taking revenge on Korath for injuring Monica, she turns to Yon-Rogg, who is currently fleeing with the Tesseract. Carol bursts forward in a streak of light. In turn, discovering her powers of super speed and flight, she pins Yon-Rogg against a rock cliff and forces him to drop the Tesseract. She looks him in the eye and sees the colour of them shimmer. Her attention turns upwards as she drops him to the ground and shoots towards the planet Hala. It isn't long until she lands in the building where the AI intelligence is being kept. Guarding it is an army of Kree warriors with the same eyes as Yon-Rogg, and after realising that none of them are in control of their actions, Carol is forced to limit her powers again, but she is aware that she is on a running clock without an inhibitor. So instead of fighting them, she uses her newfound speed to race past them and releases an unrestrained blast to the mainframe of this mass mind-controlling monstrosity. Inside the mainframe we see something glowing, a yellow light. As she goes to inspect it further, she discovers another incredibly powerful relic, the Mind Stone. Understanding that this is the power the Kree use to control the minds of all their soldiers, she grabs the stone and with the aid of her cosmic power, she hurls it through the atmosphere into space, its destination unknown. Now, I understand that in the past, the Mind Stone has turned people's eyes blue. However, I rationalise that the sphere that it was kept in is what was coating people's eyes, and an uncovered Mind Stone would turn people's eyes yellow. At least that's the logic I'm going for in this video. The Kree who were standing against her stumble, their eyes shimmer back to their natural colour. Carol has won the fight. She takes a moment to sit down and readily awaits the cosmic energy within her to kill her. But nothing happens. Sudden realisation dawns on her face as she looks towards the palaces where the Kree Highborn live. As she flies towards the palaces, she is met with resistance from the Kree army. Knowing without a shadow of a doubt that they are attacking her on their own volition, she has no issue with fighting them without restraining herself in the slightest. This scene plays out just like the original film, where she is laughing and cheering as she decimates the Kree. But I have moved this scene to Hala because of the logical leap of it happening on Earth. Just to think about this for a minute, this takes place 15 years before the events of Iron Man in the 1990s. So obviously the general population aren't walking around with cameras in their pockets. But a woman wearing a dark green or bright red battlesuit, flying and shooting lasers out of her fist would attract attention. People from the train will remember seeing her fighting martial artist Aunt May, and anyone who was looking up that day would have seen the Kree warships attempting to destroy their planet. Why does no one know about Captain Marvel at all? Captain America is a legend with his own museum and he died in the 1940s. Iron Man became famous overnight after fighting Ironmonger in the street for 5 minutes. But a demigod with laser hands who stopped an alien invasion just goes unnoticed, despite several people clearly seeing her. So by placing this final fight on Hala, we remove the logical leap that people would not remember Captain Marvel after just 15 years. After defeating the Kree, she makes it her mission to help as many people and planets as she can. In her 5 years of working for the Kree, she aided in the defeat and enslavement of over 100 planets, and to make amends for her actions, she flies off to save the people she has hurt. First on her list is Earth, to make amends with Fury, Coulson and Monica. We see Fury sitting in his new office. For retrieving the Tesseract, he gains a promotion, and is just now a few steps away from becoming the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Sat brooding at his desk, he's flipping through files. Howard Stark, Hank Pym, the KGB Black Widow program and more. Through the door walks Carol, and he doesn't pay her any attention. She speaks, but he doesn't respond. Realising that trying to talk to him is a lost cause, she leaves a modified pager on his desk, telling him that if he ever needs her, she will be there. Still receiving no response, she walks away, ready to begin her new mission. As the camera pans through the room following her leaving, we see on Fury's computer a proposal document for the Avengers initiative. And those are the changes I will make to this film. Tell a believable lie for why she would need the inhibitor chip, have her limit herself even further as a means to not scare away her prey, and have herself be compromised so she betrays the people who trusted her. As I said before, for a character like Captain Marvel, who is more powerful than anything we've ever seen before, there needs to be things put in place to make fighting harder for her. Not wanting to injure or kill the guards who are also being manipulated by the AI intelligence, not drawing attention to herself lest she scare the Skrulls away, and allowing the Kree to limit her powers in order for her to stay alive. These are very simple ways to make a character have more conflict and struggle throughout the film, and to also show her intelligence and ability to adapt to a situation by finding more subtle ways to use a set of powers that are anything but subtle. The Skrulls would still escape with the aid of the finished Lightspeed engine, but Carol would not go with them because her mission is now to free the planet she helped enslave, which explains where she was for the events of Iron Man through to Infinity War. After she breaks free of the program, she becomes the person she used to be before the Kree, and where the Kree were trying to remove her free will and personality, she ends the film as her own person with her own mission, which is why she chooses to do so on her own. Thank you very much for watching this video. Did you like my modifications, or do you think I made a lower tier Marvel film worse? I'm always open to conversation, so please let me know in the comments what you thought. And please subscribe to Whyte Sunset for more videos like this in the future. Goodbye everyone.